When it comes to Winchester Longbeard XR in 3-inch shells, what comes out on top? Is it the regular or the Magnum? Wait, you didn't know there was a Magnum? Prepare to be edumacated. George here with the New Hunter's Guide, the YouTube channel, and don't forget about that top-rated hunting podcast. I'm a regular hunter who just so happens to have a PhD and a low tolerance for marketing hype, testing all kinds of stuff to figure out what really works. And today we've got a very, very viewer-requested video. You guys have been asking for this for a long time. I just was finally able to get a hold of the ammunition that we need. We're going to test the Winchester Longbeard XR 3-inch regular against the Longbeard XR 3-inch Magnum. I bought these shells with my own money, though Winchester did kindly send me a box of steel waterfowl ammo a few years back. Now, you may not have even known there was a Magnum. Let's go ahead and look at the specs and what the differences are between these two loads. Both are 3-inch shells. The Magnum is a little bit slower, 150 feet per second less. However, it has a slightly higher payload. Both are number 6 pellets. The Magnum comes out 28 pellets ahead of the regular. The Magnum has a little bit less recoil due to that lower velocity, but comes out slightly ahead on price. Now, what's the idea here? Why do they even make a Magnum? Well, the philosophy is this: the lower the velocity, the better the pattern density and pattern distribution. You have less forces that are working to blow that pattern out. However, in order to get that better pattern, there's a trade-off. You lose a little bit of ballistics energy. So what will the performance difference be between these two loads? Is it worth spending the extra money on the Magnum, or is the regular good enough? That's what we're going to put to the test today. We're going to use the Winchester Longbeard XR choke tube by Carlson's. Carlson's has kindly given us choke tubes for testing in the past, but I bought this one with my own money. We're gonna pattern test and ballistics gel test both of these loads at 40 yards and then compare the results to see if the Magnum's better, and if so, by how much. Let's head down to the range and get this test started. And I have made it down to the range. I got my eye protection on, I got my Tetras in for hearing protection, and thank you to Tetra Hearing for sponsoring this video. Guys, I have found these to be the most outstanding devices for turkey hunting that I could have ever imagined. All right, I can hear everything that's going on around me. They come custom calibrated to your personal hearing level and compensate for hearing loss. And then every time I pull the trigger, I have instantaneous hearing protection. But maybe of more value than anything else for turkey hunters is they amplify the sounds that turkeys make. Gobbles, clucks, yelps, purrs, all the different sounds you can hear louder and more clearly and from further away with these on than you could with the naked ear, even if you had perfect hearing. And of course, you can set them to waterfowl, upland game, deer, elk, predators, whatever it is that you're hunting, and it does the same for each type of game. You can get a free 2-year extended service plan when you purchase a set of devices. That gives you 2 years of free service, cleaning, lab side parts and labor, and lifetime recalibration if your hearing level changes. Just click the link in the video description down below. That'll take you to the $275 product, add it to your cart, and then use the discount code in the video description down below at checkout to get that service plan for free. That link is an affiliate link, meaning I earn a commission if you make a purchase at no extra cost to you. Thanks for your support, and thank you, Tetra. All right, we've got loaded up here with our Longbeard choke tube, and we're gonna take our first shot with the regular Longbeard. Now, the only way you can tell the difference on the shells is the Magnum seems like it has thicker, bolder print, but they say the exact same thing. I don't know if that's across the board or just this box, so I'm having to be very careful about which shell that I shoot. All right, let's do number 1. All right, up next, we've got the Magnum shell. Okay, let's go and take a look at these targets. I've got 2 targets laid out here, and check it out, 2 dead turkeys. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody, but let's go ahead and take a quick look. First, we've got the Longbeard regular. Very dead. Very, very dead. Then we've got the Longbeard Magnum. Also, very dead turkey. Which one did better? I think it looks like the Magnum did a little bit better. You might want to go back and watch that segment a few times. I'm gonna count up the pellets. I'm gonna get that in a chart for you guys, but first we're gonna go ahead and shoot both of these at a little bit of ballistics gel. The ballistics gel is set up at 40 yards. We're gonna go ahead and take our first shot with the regular Longbeard. All right, we'll go swap the gel, flip it around, and then take our next shot. And now it's time for our Magnum Longbeard with our bigger, bolder Magnum print. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at this ballistics gel. The ballistics gel looks pretty interesting on these two loads. It's a little bit difficult to see, but let's go ahead and take a look. From left to right, we've got the regular. And then from right to left, we've got the Magnum. How does it shake out? Well, it's really hard to tell by eyeballing it when the pellets crisscross like they are. But I did right on the side of the ballistics gel, which was which, so I'm gonna go ahead, start measuring pellets, get some data for you guys into a chart momentarily. Well, that was a fun test. I love practical little experiments like this, comparing two things against each other, just to get some hands-on information about how these things tend to work. I've got 3 different charts that I'm gonna run you guys through. Let's jump right into the data and let's look at these patterns. You can see that the Longbeard regular had 174 pellets in a 10-inch circle at 30 yards. The Magnum comes in at 193 pellets in that 10-inch circle. So the Magnum comes out ahead 19 more pellets than the regular. If you look at the pattern efficiency, the regular's got 44% versus the Magnum's 46%. So there's more pellets inside of the Magnum shell, but you also have a higher percentage of those more pellets landing on the paper in the 10-inch circle. The Magnum comes out grand total 11% more pellets in the circle than the regular. Now, if you look at this next chart, you can see that only about 9% of the people who watch these videos tend to subscribe to the channel. Now let's look at the ballistics gel data. The regular comes in at 3.43 inches of penetration versus the Magnum's 2.87% inches of penetration. So the Magnum comes in significantly behind the regular. The regular is 20% more penetration than the Magnum. So what's the bottom line on this test? Well, the Magnum gives us 11% more pattern density, but it's 20% less penetration on the target. Now, what really matters here? Well, both loads are giving you drastically more pellets in the circle than you need. You want about 100 pellets, maybe a little bit more in a 10-inch circle at whatever range that you're hunting. So at 40 yards, we have drastically more pellets than we need with both shells. The Magnum doesn't really give us anything extra. However, you also want about 1.25 inches of ballistics gel penetration to kill a turkey at whatever range that you're shooting, and we have well more than double what the minimum number is. So, bottom line analysis, is the Magnum worth it? For me, with this gun and this choke tube, no. I would rather have the extra 20% penetration to be sure I'm putting that bird down and let me punch out a little bit further. I've got a feeling that the Magnum is going to run out of penetration before it runs out of pattern density, and I think the regular may actually help you squeeze out just a little bit more range. Now, I know I'm going to probably get some hate mail for that conclusion right there, but that's okay. You do you. You cannot go wrong with either one of these shells. You just have way more than you need at anything at this range. I'm thinking about punching out a little bit further. And of course, choke tube matters. That's why I tested the Longbeard through 10 different choke tubes and then did another video punching out to ridiculous long range to see what would happen. You can find those 2 videos here and here. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you, and go get them in the woods.